Valerie. How are you today?
I'm fine, Cynthia. How are you?
I'm really good.
And how are they?
I hope they're really good because we are ready for the next leg, and that's always an exciting time.
The next leg is an exciting time, and we are finally on leg 4.
That's amazing.
And a major mystery is going to be resolved.
What is that?
The mystery of why we had them put all of their stitches on waste yarn at the end of leg 3.
Yeah.
So, yes, we're going to answer that question.
So why did we put their stitches on waste yarn?
Well, from the very beginning, we've talked about how this shawl is a combination, the shape-wise, of a triangle and a scarf, right? But we've also said that you have never built a triangular shawl like this before.
That's true.
Right? And I believe they'll agree with us.
I know I haven't.
So what we're doing is now we're going to start working in another direction. So we're rotating our work 90 degrees, and we're going to pick up stitches along the edges of legs 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to work that way.
Well, that sounds kind of intriguing. I'll be looking forward to this.
Yes. So it presents some intrigue with the knitting going in different directions. It also gives us opportunities for new types of stitches and new design options. So many opportunities and possibilities.
Well, we'll be looking forward to that.
Yes.
Let's do it. So where are you going?
Well, I grew up in Baltimore.
Okay.
And one of the hallmarks of Baltimore, I suppose, is the Inner Harbor.
That's true, it is.
I spent a lot of visits to the Inner Harbor over the years, to the various museums, and there was this place in Harbor Place where they made fudge. I used to love to watch the show because it was like this big singing, dancing, extravaganza about making fudge. That was fun. So anyway, I was growing up in the years when they were really doing a lot to revitalize the harbor. And one of the things, and it's funny, it happened, I was a little too young to remember the beginnings of it, but they had redone the waterfront, and they were looking for ideas for ways to get people to come down to the waterfront. And someone suggested that they build a replica of a Baltimore clipper ship.
Okay.
And
that's a pretty big undertaking.
Yeah, it's a huge undertaking. So they put out bids, and they got a company who agreed to do it. And so they built in the Inner Harbor area, they created an open air shipyard, and they built the Pride of Baltimore.
Cool.
Which was a clipper ship that sailed around the world for 9 years, and unfortunately it got caught in a microburst squall and sunk, which is kind of very sad. It's not kind of, it is very sad.
It is very sad.
And so they were planning to just, we've had our run, but there was such an outpouring of love and hope and caring from the community, people donating all sorts of money, that they went ahead and they built another ship. And so that one's called the Pride of Baltimore too, and it's still sailing.
That's cool.
Around the globe, which is neat. I mean, just to think about traveling the world. So anyway, the clipper ships, I did all sorts of research on the history of clipper ships, because why not?
Right.
And it was really interesting to me to understand more of the role that they played in some of our history. Most of it I had to cut out of the pattern because I didn't think y'all wanted a historical brief on Baltimore clippers. I think you want a knitting pattern.
Probably.
So
we can always Google history, right?
But I learned for me. Anyway, the Pride of Baltimore, the Pride of Baltimore 2, and Baltimore clipper ships were known because they had 2 masts.
Okay.
Which set them apart from the 3-mast clippers that came later.
Okay.
And I created my pattern so it has 2 masts in it, and that has the yards that hold the sails going across, and I did all of that using slip stitches.
Okay.
So it was kind of fun to like plot that out. You knit it sideways because the direction of our work that we're moving in, and then thinking about how the shawl will be oriented when it's worn. So it's knit sideways, which was a little interesting. Fun. It works. Fun, interesting, not strange, interesting, but fun. But I think for me, planning it was the interesting part, to try and think sideways. But I really like how it turned out. It's really cute.
I do too. It's really pretty. Yeah.
So what about you?
Well, man, there's so much in Baltimore. I was looking at all this stuff. It was really hard to figure out. But I finally landed on the art museum that's there. Yeah. And because I like museums a lot, and
you say the art museum as there's only one. Oh, you're specifically talking about the Baltimore Museum of Art.
Correct. Right? Yes. Oh. So, I liked the pillars in the front as my knitting motif, as just like a good graphic thing. And as you'll recall, I had just done this crab, which was a lot of kind of rough knitting, and I wanted something after that was a lot more simple and sort of a little bit of a breather for myself. Right. So I just did stripes that represented the pillars of the museum. But there's so much in the museum, I want to go there now. Yes. I mean, there's right now an exhibit on G's Pent quilts. There's some other textile things right now. Of course, there's always photographs and lithographs and paintings and everything else. And I was looking, and they have a whole Matisse section.
And your Matisse.
I like Matisse. So I wanted to show all of you, I designed a quilt this year that was based on Matisse ideas. And I'm just going to show you a corner, but we'll throw in a photo here then. It's called Catisse. And so I used a lot of Matisse colors. This is just one little corner of it. But we'll, like I said, show you the whole thing in a photo. Oh, it's pretty fun. And it was just kind of a nice breather clue for me. Yeah. I really enjoyed it very much. So
I really liked the thought that you put into kind of the depth perception, because this clue has an interesting slant to it, and it really does lend itself to like things kind of fading into the background. So I really liked that, and the way you arranged the colors then, because you used all 4 colors in this clue,
I did,
right?
yes.
And the way you arranged it from dark to light,
it was dark
so that
to light,
it just kind of faded. Was really cool. It worked a little bit better, I think, in your colorway than it did in mine, but I still like the effect.
Yeah, it works too. It works in. It should, as long as you have a light, medium, dark. Even if you don't, it should be good.
It's still pretty. It's pretty either way, but yours really had that sense because you had, I think.
Well, I was using 3 teals, right? So that really
so it's kind of a gradient almost, broken up by the variegated. And
exactly,
that really looked cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
So a major difference between your clue and my clue is that your clue is worked primarily in stockinette, and my clue is worked primarily in garter. Yes, I did it again, folks. Sorry, I couldn't resist. And I want to really point out the importance of gauge. I know we've talked about it. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, and I don't want to do that, but it does matter. And here's why. How many rows is your clue? Do you remember?
No, it's 100.
It's like 96 or something like that.
Yeah.
My clue is 146 rows. And my clue is 146 rows because garter is stumpier than stockinette. So if you think back to when we did our gauge swatches, it was 32 rows of stockinette to get 4 inches, but it was 48 rows of garter to get 4 inches. Yeah. And so we had to take that into account because the overall shape of the shawl should be the same regardless. So if you're looking for more knitting, do my clue. If you want shorter knitting,
here we go.
It's one factor, one thing to consider. But I do want to emphasize again, like, just using the needles that you need to get gauge for garter for my section, because if you don't, then your shawl is going to be misshapen. So that's really important.
Yeah, I agree.
The other thing to talk about is about shaping, because we put a little bit of a shaping bit on the end of the shawl. We needed to make a turn to kind of match that crook we created by inserting that triangle, like 2 in. So we're matching now,
right?
The other side, but this time we did it with short rows, and it's very similar to what we did in leg 2, short row triangles with the estuaries, but in this case we used stockinette stitch. We did that in the variegated yarn, and I've done it in a couple different variegateds, just practicing those short rows, and it looks really cool.
Oh, good. Yeah, because it's probably coming to points.
It is, but it's like, I don't know how to describe it. Everyone has been a little bit different as I put it together, because all the variegateds are different. Some of them are more stripy and some of them are more speckly, but each one looks neat.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious to see the pictures as they come in, to see how the variegated and the short rows played together.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
The good thing is that with all the knitting of doing the sections plus doing the short row shaping there at the end, we decided, actually the calendar decided, we gave you an extra week. So there are actually 3 weeks to get this clue done. So in 2 weeks, when you're looking at your computer expecting to see something from us, think back to this moment right now and go, oh, that's right, she said it was 3 weeks.
Yes.
So it'll be 3 weeks before the next clue, and you'll have plenty of time to get everything done and then show off your work, show off your pictures.
If you've been a little bit behind, this is a great time to catch up.
Absolutely.
So, we know that some of the clues take a little longer than others, and this is a good time to just...
Yeah. This is a long one.
Yeah, it is.
So we gave you the extra time to do that.
Cool.
So, yay!
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to this.
Me too.
Yeah, we're looking forward especially to seeing what you do when we go online. We always love those photos. It's really fun. Yeah, there's nothing more exciting than seeing your designs coming out in all different colors and different styles and different combinations, because as we've been doing it, we've been doing either all of Valerie's or all of mine, and it's been really fun seeing them combined. So
it's fun for me to see my clues in, the clues that I've done in my colorway. It's neat to see the colorways in the opposite clues.
That's true too.
Because I never knew, I'm doing Quoth the Raven, and I never knew what the crab would look like in the Quoth the Raven thing. Exactly. Because I did the estuary. So it's fun to see those pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. So we just love seeing all your photos, and it's been a really fun journey. So we are excited, as we said, to see what you do.
Excited!
And I like it when Valerie gets excited. And we will see you at the next clue.
Bye!